All right. Hey, welcome back to the Go4CEO channel. This is John the Bomb. Building others means business. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to drop a bomb today. Okay. This gentleman, I remember, I don't know, 5, 7, 10, 12 years ago, I think it was, that he interviewed me, right? So we're in the banking industry. A very impressive guy telling me his story. He's heading this whole region and market for a pretty big bank out there that you might know of. And he shares with me a book at the end of the interview. And I was so touched by that because it really resonated with who he is and what he's been able to do. And even though he spent 30 years being a top executive in the banking industry, moves out to California from Chi-Town, builds out another market, he then goes on his own to build his ridiculous brand that's blowing up everywhere, BillFanter.com. Bill, thanks so much for coming out to the Go4CEO channel. How are you?
I'm good, and I appreciate the invite. And I don't think I'm ever going to forgive you that you turned me down for that job offer I extended to you.
Well, it was one of those times that you look at opportunities and you say, okay,
Yep.
all right. But I don't think you were the reason that I didn't get it. I think there was another gentleman that made sure I didn't get it. So, so
Ah, that happens, right? It's all
yeah,
about timing. Yeah, and
yeah,
you
yeah.
did just fine. So good for you.
No, yeah. And look, I've always enjoyed that, I'm one of many, many relationships you have out there. And anytime I text you, you're always just so gracious with your time. You'll answer something or you'll give some feedback on LinkedIn. You'll correspond and do a comment. So
Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons your brand has just skyrocketed. So ladies and gentlemen, be ready here. This is going to be a lot of note taking, a lot of things of how to build something coming off of a C-suite type of experience in the corporate world to building something on his own and learning from other different areas. So, Bill, why don't you share with us? Most of our interviewees, start with the ideation. What were you thinking? What's the industry? We've mentioned that a couple of times here, the banking industry. Where were you at? And then all of a sudden, what was that switch that made you kind of, go to the next level?
Yeah, so for me, right, I was in banking for, like you said, over 30 years, always in Chicago, built my entire career there. And the company, the bank at the time, made some C-suite changes. And with that, everybody's fair game, right? So it didn't matter how long you were there, what you built, who you were. When the entire executive team switches hands, it's a new playing field. And I think that really gave me an opportunity to reassess, to say what I built was absolutely best in class, but could I do better? And my thought was the answer was no. So if I'm not going to do better there, could I do better somewhere else? So, started looking around and decided, hey, if I'm going to leave Chicago, which I love Chicago, and I'm not going to lie, I miss Chicago food. It doesn't matter where I've lived in the United States, there is no better food than Chicago. And right, I mean, so took a job with a commercial bank out in Southern California. Crazy as this sounds. So I left my prior employer that I was there for 17 years in an executive role in a city that I built from 37 branches to 180. Step away, walk away, go to this commercial bank. COVID hits. Day 91. Like you're always like, okay, well, if I could just get through the probationary period, like day 90, I'm safe. Day 91, they sold the bank. It was crazy, John.
Wow.
So literally, I'm out of a job. I mean, out of the executive job. Now, right at the executive level, you have change in control agreements and you're protected financially. But I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, I just moved here, just got a place, and day 91, it's COVID. I'm locked up, and the bank is sold. So ironically, and I think people underestimate the power of brand, and more importantly, the power of LinkedIn. But a chief operating officer on the West Coast was following me forever and saw the post that I said how grateful I was for the opportunity to be able to go to California. This didn't work out, but something new will come along. Sure enough, she sends me a DM. I'd never talked to her, never met her. She said, Bill, I've been following you forever. I love who you are, what you represent. Reach out to one of these two CEOs. Tell them I sent you. I'm
Hmm.
like, perfect, right? Why not? So I did reach out to the first CEO. She not only met with me, had me interviewing with the executive team within 2 days, and I had a job offer making more money than the last bank paid me to move out to California in the first place.
Wow.
Like, where does that
But not too shabby.
No, right? I mean, I don't know, maybe I got a little lucky. But I think it really comes down to a couple things. One, being very purposeful with who you are and what you do and, who you surround yourself with, right? So that was a big learning for me throughout this process. And then when I was at that bank for about 3.5 years, Silicon Valley Bank imploded. The entire, financial system, was on the brink of, it wasn't disaster, but it was in a really bad place from a depository liquidity perspective, right? And then that's when the Federal Reserve just started jacking rates up like nobody's business, destroying banks' income statements, and therefore the stocks plummeted, right? And we were a multifamily shop for the most part, multifamily, single family, a lot of big broker business, and the margins just got decimated. And based upon that, we were liability rate sensitive. And I don't want to get too much into the banking terms, but basically, what it means is we could not control the cost of our deposits because the market was imploding with First American, a lot of the big banks, First Republic, right, going under Silicon Valley. So it put us in a real position that we had to go out and find a suitor to acquire the bank. So that happened about 2.5 years ago. And once we sold that bank, it actually took about a year and a half to get the approval from the FDIC because, again, government oversight and regulations created a mess with the FDIC system and the Federal Reserve System as a whole that we couldn't even get an approval. But long story short, we sold the bank, another change in control kicked in, and I said, I'm out. And it was a great run. It was a great 35-year career running banks, but I'm going to go do something for myself. And that's how I got to, honestly, where I'm at today.
It's such a journey, right? I always equate it to it may not be in your 20s because a lot of people think, oh, I should be successful in my 20s or I should be
Yeah.
successful in my 30s. It may not even be in your 40s, right? It
Yeah.
depends on kind of the things that are going on. And all of it is growing as you were, right, throughout the building of that other bank in Chicagoland and then seeing
Mhm.
these opportunities. And I will be selfish here. In my book, I talk in the second chapter about aligning, right? And
Mhm.
aligning yourself with the right people. Now, you didn't even know this person, but Go for CEO community, he had her in his network, meaning
Yeah.
you accepted her somehow on
Yeah.
LinkedIn. She kept on following you. You put up great content, great posts, great interactions, and boom, she saw an opportunity to now
Yeah.
bring on a talent that she admired from afar. So that's aligning yourself with the right people. So really cool stuff. So hey, you know what? I remember our talks about maybe, this franchise that you wanted to buy or that thing that you wanted to buy back in the day. And you decided, hey, options is the game. So
Yeah.
were you already trading, being a part of a community? What were you doing before you said to yourself, yeah, heck with it, right? I'm done. I've got maybe a good severance here. Let's go on
Mhm.
my own.
Yeah, so the benefit of moving from Chicago to California is primarily the time change, right? So I'm a banker by trade, so you're always watching the stock market. You're always watching, FOMC, the Federal Open Market Committee. Are they raising rates, lowering rates? What's going on with bond yields? What's going on with stocks, liquidity, unemployment, GDP, right? So, I mean, that's just kind of what I did for 35 years. And so the benefit of moving from Chicago to California was the time change. So when you think about the fact that the stock market opens at 8:30 a.m. Central Time, well, I'm already in the thick of things, right? I'm running 180 bank branches, 1,400 people. Like you don't have time to think about anything.
Mm,
But you get to California, well, the stock market opens at 6:30, and nobody in California is in their office at 8:30. You probably got till 9 or 9:30. So you literally have 3 hours every morning. And I'm a really early morning riser, like 3 a.m. early. And so I'm
wow.
like, all right, so I can be literally now trading the market for a good 2 full hours before I even got to show up to go play bank executive. I'm all in, right? And COVID hit. And if you just kind of watch for things that have happened over my lifetime, the financial housing crisis, right? 2009, 2010, insane opportunities to make money. COVID,
Mm,
another insane opportunity to make money. So you're looking for huge market disruptions that probably aren't going to be duplicatable in history again. And you have to really quickly think about, how can I capitalize on this? So during COVID, everything shut down, right? What wasn't working? Well, they were selling off, obviously, anything service-based, right? Restaurants selling off hard, manufacturing selling off hard. What are they buying up? Anything internet-based, right? So home delivery, FedEx, UPS, Amazon. You're locked down. I mean, so you had to have stuff delivered to you. So it was just literally Peloton, right? Peloton going from like $8 to like 280. And so it was all about the timing aligned for me. The time zone aligned. There was a global crisis that I was able to take advantage of, in all honesty. And I just was working from home. We just sold the bank, right? I mean, I moved out in, let's see, I moved out at Halloween of 2019, and everything was shut down in January of 2020. And we had announced that we sold the bank. So the CEO's like, we're going to close in June. You could just stay home and collect a paycheck. I'm like, all right.
Sweet.
So
Yeah.
you want to pay me for 6 months to do nothing? I'll do that. And so then I really started to dovetail into what is the best way to capitalize on moves in the market. And it wasn't equity, right? So I understood buying and selling stocks. But then that's really when options contracts took off to a whole nother level. And that's where your Reddit community came in, and social media, and everybody's at home, so everybody's on Instagram, Facebook, pick a platform. And I saw these 20-year-old kids, I call them 20-year-old kids because my kids are 30. And they're literally, John, I kid you not, they're making 10, 20, 30 grand in a given day. I'm like, wait a minute. No way. Right? I mean, I'm a grown adult here, my late 40s at the time. I think I was 49. I'm like, this is impossible. So I started to do more research on what exactly are they doing with options contracts. Now, when I was at the bank, I traded options before on a portfolio, but I never traded them as just a day trade vehicle. So I had money, went out and hired them, and hired three different ones and did one-on-one coaching, mentorships with them, and basically paid them whatever I had to pay them for them to teach me exactly what they were doing. And that's how I learned the skill, as crazy as it sounds.
There's a lot in what you just said, right? The experience of knowing kind of where you were and assessing what you had to do, right, to take the next move. One of the
Yep.
biggest things that you just did there is you invested in people that were already where you wanted to be, right?
Yep.
So learning from this. So tell us that, obviously a lot of people are, wanting to be entrepreneurs. They're not taking those steps to reach out to someone to say, hey, okay, this guy's successful or that girl's successful in this space. Maybe I take them out to lunch, but better yet, if they have a program like you bought, a counseling or a coaching type system, it's neat to be able to do that because now you have that direct connection. So tell us about that. Like, what was that experience with the three? What were some things that you learned? And then how did that become then BillFanter.com and what you've been able to build over the last couple of years?
So my biggest mistake in life was I've owned probably 6 to 8 different businesses. Okay. And every business I bought from somebody else. And it's a wide variety. I mean, everything from Italian restaurant to 300 site vending to commercial landscape companies, right? A mortgage company. I mean, I've owned all kinds of businesses my entire life. And the biggest thing that got in my way was my ego. That I'm like, if I can run a $10 billion bank, don't tell me that I can't run an Italian restaurant. Or don't tell me that I can't run a 300 site vending machine company or a commercial landscape company in Jacksonville, Florida. Are you kidding me? I'm
Yeah.
running a $10 billion bank.
Yeah.
Those were some of my biggest failures, all of those businesses, because I refused to go and find somebody who was an expert in the space and pay them money. I just made the assumption that my skills in corporate America are literally unilateral to any type of business. Big mistake. I won't even tell you about the horror stories. So when I decided to embark upon this is where also other executives struggle in life. Is their ego gets in the way, and they're definitely not going to listen to somebody with less experience than them. right? Whereas me, I'm like, all right, you're 27 years old. How much do you charge per hour? Right? How do I buy 40 hours with you? So it's just it's a different mindset. So if you're willing to go invest in yourself by learning from the people who have become masters at a category or a specific business, it's priceless. I mean, I promise you, you will save so much money that your ROI goes up from day one, right? So after I hired several of these individuals, Gus was one of them. I think at the time, Gus was, I don't know, 26 years old, living downtown LA, driving a Rolls-Royce Phantom. I mean, just multi-millionaire. I'm gonna call him a kid, right? He worked for the city of LA, but he had such a great demeanor about him. He was not arrogant, he was not pompous. And he's like, "Yeah, I'd love to help you." I'm like, "Perfect. Where do I sign up?" And so I did one of his master classes. I started trading with him one on one. And what I did over time is I did it with Gus, then I did it with Andrew, and then I did it with another guy, Jason. I did it with one more, and his name escapes me off the top of my head right now. But I had gone through four different curriculums, four different perspectives, all essentially, though, in the same industry, right? Options trading, because they all went about it a little bit differently. So I was able to take the best pieces from each of them, apply it to my trading skill to get the consistency and repetitive returns day in and day out. So I was still working at the bank at that time, but knowing that the last bank I was at was sold and it was going to take about a year to close, I'm like, okay, as soon as I get my money from the last buyout, I'm never going back to corporate America again. So could I take what I paid for from these 20-year-olds and use my brand, my 35 years as a bank executive, my network, right? When I was in Chicago, every banker knew who I was. I ran one of the largest distribution channels from nothing to something. So I had, again, a built-in audience, right, to test the waters. So I built a master class. I did it all on my own. I have no, educational background per se. Never went to college, so I do have a high school diploma. But I don't have, a, a style for teaching at the collegiate level, even though I did teach at Furman University, right? So I built this
Mm.
master class. It's kind of like a prototype and basically put it out there on social media, LinkedIn, anyone want to come learn what I've been working on for the last year and a half, 2 years. And ironically, guess what? It was almost all US Bank employees because that was my employer, right? And they all
That's
trusted
awesome.
me. A
Yeah,
lot of
of
them were
course.
branch managers, assistant branch managers, district managers are like, what? I get to work with Bill again? Yeah. I'll pay him $300 to, come take his master class. And it was actually built on 6 nights of foundational learning in modules. Each night is about 2.5 hours. And my first master class, I think I had about 28 people that signed up for it. And I'm like, wow, that was pretty amazing. 28 people at $300 a piece. I'm like, that ain't bad money,
9 grand. Yeah, yeah,
right? It's decent, right? What,
yeah,
9 grand?
yeah.
Um, and so I'm like, got me thinking, am I onto something here? Again, going back to how many people I know, my reputation, my brand. I'm never going to mislead people. I'm never going to lie to people. I mean, I'm probably too honest and ethical from time to time. And I then taught another class. And then word started to spread. And then I started really investing in not only me from, okay, contextual writing from a proper formatting perspective on LinkedIn, but then also upgrading a website and automating things. Thinking about the presentation material and really going through and having that all redone from a professional standpoint. So, this little experiment that I had, literally in 18 months, looking back now, has turned into a full-blown masterclass that over right now 1,200 people have gone through. And starting price used to be 300. Now the entry point is 3,000.
Mm.
Night and day, right?
Not too
So
shabby.
no, it's pretty good, right? My average class probably has about 100 people in it on average. And then I've evolved it and I now do one-on-one mentoring and coaching with a lot of the students. And then I went one step further. So I was part of another networking community on LinkedIn around branding and marketing. Again, go find the people who are really good at the stuff you're not good at and just write them a check.
Mhm.
Most people struggle with that, right? They're like, I'll figure it out on my own. Well, I didn't. I went out, got a hold of Nat Berman. Nat runs an amazing community called Brand Built. I'm not here to plug it, but I'm just going to tell you how I got into this business
Mhm.
and spent time with Nat, paid him for one-on-one coaching. Nat is not cheap. He's got like 86,000 followers, runs hundreds of websites, multi-millionaire. And I'm like, this is where I'm at, Nat. What are the next steps? He's like, Bill, you need to start a community. I'm like, man, I don't want to start a community. I'm like, come on, dude. And he's like, Bill, I'm telling you, start a community. All right. So I then started a community. I'm like, what platform do I use? So then all the traders pretty much use a platform called Discord. So not only do we have all the students who have graduated a master class in the past that are part of the community, but then also the community itself has grown organically through a lot of my posts on LinkedIn. So you have the master class that is a way to start learning about options. Then you join the community, which is another paid subscription, but you also get to be with me live every single morning. So I trade the market live every morning in front of you. You get to watch my screens. You watch where I'm buying. You get to watch where I'm selling. You get to watch how much money I'm making. And you can literally take the trades with me, right?
Mhm.
So I've scaled back on the number of master classes that I've run to now I'm going to probably only do 3 or 4 a year, but they'll be little bit bigger in size. And now the focus is now all about the community, continuing education, sharing wins, losses, psychology, trade recaps, right? It really has become an entire ecosystem from, hey, Bill, I'm interested in this to, I got you. And not only are you going to be interested, but I'm going to make you successful if it kills me. And that's kind of where I'm at today.
That's so cool, man. There's probably 7 or 8 things I could take out of this last 3 or 4 minutes that you just shared. Staying true to the Go4CEO model, I think it'd be interesting to kind of understand. So you take this initial network ecosystem that you had naturally, and like you said, the U.S. Gals and guys that
Yep.
participated in this first $300 one. So for those wondering, okay, well, all right, that was successful. What were some of the things that you did then? Because I kind of have seen it from the back end side. Was it only LinkedIn? Did you start to market it in different ways? You obviously branded out and did some things to kind of brand yourself, but what were some of the ways that you built a business out of that
Mhm.
initial, test market?
I've really just quadrupled down on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do run a few ads on Facebook and Instagram. They're not successful. I
Mm-hmm.
spend like $50 a day, like nothing, right? Just to test the water. But
Mm-hmm.
it's also knowing your ICP, right? So who is your ideal client profile? And then what are you trying to solve for them? And then that is what you just have to drive and lean into like nobody's business, right? Yeah, I have a TikTok account. Yeah, I have a YouTube account. I have Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, some ads run on those things, but there's no pull through in revenue compared to LinkedIn, where every one of my clients are highly successful 6-figure earners. Some are 7-figure earners, right? A lot of them are corporate executives. I mean, if you go to my website and just look at the student comments, look at what these people do. They are
Mm-hmm.
highly accomplished individuals in their field. But what they do or have had an interest in is learning more about market dynamics. How do the markets work? How is it that you can take leverage and get an ROI that is like 100 times anything that I've ever seen before, right? So part of it is intrigue that gets them into, well, what are you doing? Are you, huh? How do you make $4,500 in 2 minutes? Let me show you, right? And so then what it goes from is, okay, I have a concept where people are interested. Now I need to bulletproof the concept where you cannot call bullshit on me. And you can't do that, John, because I do it right in front of you every single morning, right?
Hmm.
So the fastest way to get people from apprehension to acceptance is just prove it to them. And so what have I been doing over the last probably 9 to 12 months is just proving it to people day in and day out, testimonials, prove it again, more testimonials, prove it again, right? I never stop showing my wins and I also show my losses, right? I
Hmm.
mean, my win rate is about 80%. So when I take trades, 80% of the time I will make money, 20% of the time I will lose money. Now, last week was a little different. I only took one losing trade all week. I took like 18 winning trades because the market allowed me that opportunity. So it's more than just making money. It's all about the skill, right? Any skill that you are willing to master and then become the category leader in, then your variable is price. What do you want to charge? And that's why I just kept raising my prices every master class. 300, 500, then I got to 700. I'm like, I don't know if I could charge 700.
They're not going to buy.
That,
Yeah.
that worked. And then I went to 900. And then I'm like, what? And then I went to 1500. And then I went to 1995. And then I went to 24.95. And now, if you look at my website, it's 29.95. So I'll stop charging more when, people stop signing up, I guess, and stop making money.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, look, the value far outweighs the cost, right? And they always say, right, in the absence of value, then cost is an issue. But,
Yes.
you've been able to provide proof in the pudding. And I love that you said document, 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 document. And it's just, I can't remember the phrase, but it's like at one point or another, it's self-evident that you
Yes.
have been able to create something. And it's not for everybody. I like, it's interesting, right? I mean, you could show them like, here, this is how you can eat every day, and people are still be like, well, I don't know if I'm going to do that, or I don't know if I have
Yeah.
time. So I get that. I mean, but what a cool thing. So when you think about the business side of things, right, you were able to scale a smaller presence of a bank in the Chicagoland area to many, many, many branches. Then you went out to the West Coast and did some successful things there too. What are some of the relatable things as a C-suite executive that you've taken into this business world and how you've created the actual entity in business from what
Mhm.
your experiences before?
Be really good at driving revenue. If you cannot drive revenue, you have no business. And you will watch that that's where most people go wrong is they want to constantly cut expenses. I'm sure whoever's listening to this podcast has experienced our company has to cut expenses. Our company has to reduce headcount. Our company has to halt travel. Our company is putting hiring on and they won't use the word freeze, right? We're just going to put it on hold. It's because they can't drive revenue. So if
Mhm.
you can't drive revenue, then your only lever is to cut expenses. Now, I'm not saying don't run an efficient business model, but if you cannot drive forward revenue, at some point in time, you're going to hit a roadblock. So whether I was running banks in Chicago or I was running banks in California or running my own business, it is all about driving more revenue. If you have more revenue, you can hire more people. You can do more advertising. You can upgrade your technology. You can do a whole bunch of things. But when you don't have revenue and you're working on a shoestring budget, God, that just sucks. You may as well just keep a 9 to 5 job.
Mhm. Well, even 9 to 5s, it's funny, right? Related to your lives, GO4CEO community, you may be an employee right now trading hours for dollars. And if you're making 50, 60, 75 grand, you can't do what the $150,000 person does. And
Yeah.
you can't do the 150 what the 450,000 person does, right? So we were talking off camera about levels, and you got to
Mhm.
see that eye apparent in California, how crazy that is. And now being in Vegas, same thing. There's always levels to each game, and such a cool thing to have done that throughout your years. And like you said, owning small to medium-sized businesses outside of the C-suite, and then having some disruptions, some things that you failed at, some learning opportunities that then prepared you for these three people, and then Gus being the sounded like the eventual mentor
Yeah.
of mentors, one of one, and now you've taken this to the next level. So, BillFanter.com. everything about it. Are you starting to look at this from a scaling perspective? Is there something about this that is technology wise that's going to help you grow? Or is it more, are you thinking to bring on maybe different educators within your platform so that they can parlay your education into other people? What are some of the strategies that you're looking to do to grow?
So right now my focus is all on the students that have already taken the master class and that are
Mhm.
going to take the master class. I have so many incredibly successful students that are making six figures and then some off the program. And what I've done with a couple of them, one of them specifically, is he was a student last August and literally just got it. It clicked, winning trade, winning trade, winning trade. He's now one of the analysts in my community that puts out his trades and his alerts live while the market is open.
Oh,
So I have five other analysts in the community that are doing their live trades, calling out their trades, their price levels, their buy, their sell, their charts, their trade reviews, their trade recaps. And so for me, it's not about getting bigger, right? I didn't set out to do this for the money. Clearly, I mean, even though it's turned into a business, my focus will always be to make the most amount of money trading, right? I trade with traders that make three, four, 500,000 a day. I mean, not in a month, not in a year, in a day. And those are the ones that I've done mentoring with, right? So for me too, it's upping my game. So
okay.
right now, my average trade is between 3 and 10,000. So which is good, right? If I'm making 30, 40% on 10 grand in 10 minutes, $4,000 a day, right? You're talking 20 grand a week, 80,000 a month. It's good. But the real money with some of these guys is they are making 10, 12, 14 million a year. And so then what they do is they say, I'm not teaching, I'm not mentoring, I'm just really going to start honing my skill. So I'm trying to find that balance as to, okay, I'm really good at this. But I've also been really good at teaching others how to do it. So for me, it's paying it forward, right? When I was in corporate America, and I'm not ashamed to say this now, but my number one goal in corporate America when I was running banks, John, was to pay you as little as possible and to get as much revenue out of you as I possibly could every single 90 days, right? That is what the bank hired me to do. I don't want to be that guy anymore. I
Mhm.
look back and I'm not going to lie to you. I'm ashamed of myself, right? If you were an employee of mine, it was like, how many credit cards did you sell today? How many checking accounts did you open today? How many mortgage referrals did you have today? How many investments did you have today? Your kid's sick? I don't care, right? I need these numbers. And I had 1,400 people that I treated that way.
Mm.
Corporate America brought out the worst in me. Yet I found a way to be insanely successful with an incredible following of employees who would walk through fire for me, right? So now that I'm out of the game, I'm out of the business, my number one goal is to help people achieve whatever their why is, right? I just want extra money to take my kid to Disney. I don't want my wife to have to go back to work or my husband. I have a lot of women traders as well, right? I'd love for my husband just to stay home, be able to raise the kids, homeschool, whatever they decide to do. Or for a lot of them, a lot of my students, again, they're in their 50s, right? They're highly successful career executives that just say, I can't do this till I'm 65. And even
Mm.
if I could, the disruption in corporate America today with automation, with AI, with executive changes, with efficiency standards, it's not probable. So when I was running banks, right, they're paying me six, $700,000 a year to run a bank every year, right? Some years I made eight, 900 grand running banks. Um, but once that position goes away, the likelihood that you're going to find another one is slim and none, right? So I'm also trying to get people to think about if you're going to be dependent upon somebody, why not be dependent upon yourself? And if you're willing to learn, this is a skill that I can teach you. Now, are you going to make your salary in 90 days? No way. And I tell people that all the time. You want to do this full time? You can do it, but you need to do it at least for 6 months to a year. because it is 80% psychological, 20% technical. And 95% of traders fail. It's the statistic. And even within my own community, we have a channel that says post your gains, but also post your losses. And then there's a channel that's dedicated to psychology. And every losing trade, a student will post something around I was guessing, I was gambling, I was
Mhm.
revenge trading, I was doing something psychological that caused me to fail. Now, the interesting thing is, if you were to talk to these people at work or in their career or in their own personal life, they will tell you, I am not a gambler. I am not a risk taker. I have really good emotional intelligence. I have really great, clear mind, clear thought. I'm very disciplined. I am very consistent. And then they come with me, and it's like,
Complete opposite.
what?
Yeah, yeah,
What? Are you
I
kidding
agree.
me? Right?
It's a,
So,
well,
but that's the human emotion side. So, to answer your question in a long fashion,
yeah, yeah.
I'm really doing it to try to give people some different options, pun intended, as to how they live their life, right? Because life is short and it's not in perpetuity.
No, and Go for CEO community, I hope that you really resonated with those last minutes there, right? And this whole interview right now has been truly impactful, and the things that you're doing, and I would tell you, I mean, I know that you feel like some guilt or something like that, all right, that you said, but still, what proved that actually you did the right thing was that in between that push, 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 you
Mhm.
built relationships. Because I still remember, even in our interview, that kind gesture of a book, even though I was like, man, this guy's gonna be hard to work for, right? Let's just say I said that. And I heard from other people, I know Bill's a driver, and I like that. I'm the type of guy that likes that. But
Mhm.
I would say to you that that first launch of this thing proved that you had already had built-in equity with
Yeah.
all these people, and that's how they paid that first 300, and the next 500, and the next 900 to 19, and now 3 grand, right? So
Yeah.
awesome, awesome stuff. And look, there's a business in here, ladies and gentlemen.
Mhm.
Bill created himself the business. I think it was Jay-Z. I'm a businessman, right?
Right.
He created the business. So I think there's such a cool thing to learn about an industry, a way of doing things that can really be connected to you, the self, the person. But as you said, emotions play a big deal. I equate it to when I got into poker. It
Yeah.
was really interesting to me at the 1-2 level. I was like, all right, these people are just playing with like 300-400 bucks.
Yeah.
And if you put them all in, they still didn't feel the pain. But when I got up to like 5-10 at the poker table, and people are sitting with 3, 4, 5, 10 grand, and you're putting them to the test for $2,000, it's interesting how people
Mhm.
sway a little bit in their chair. They get a little sweaty. They have little
Right.
cues of emotional things that they're going through because you
Mhm.
just put them to the test with their own money. And in this case, right, you got to make fast decisions. You're looking at charts and things like that. Yeah, I could see where it become emotional. But so the business side of it, you built a platform. It sounds like you don't necessarily want to be like the next guru of things, but you've really built something so unique that I think in the community of Discord, let's go through that. What is that model like? Is that the pure paywall model? What does that feel like so that people can understand what is it that you really built with the Discord, the paywall side?
Sure. So all the students who take the master class are granted access to the community
Okay.
for either, I keep changing it up because I'm experimenting with different price points, right? When I first rolled out the community, it was $89 a month. And then they got access for either 3 months, some were 12 months, some were 6 months. I varied it, right? And then now the community is $150 a month. But then every masterclass student has access for either 6 months or 12 months, depending upon which selection they choose of the
Mhm.
masterclass series. And then I also have a lot of outsiders that are now joining just to be part of the community. So, even on LinkedIn, I run across a lot of people that trade options, but they've been doing it by themselves. And they're like, wow, I didn't even know a community existed. So then they'll come in, they'll watch me trade live, they can ask questions. Again, I have 5 other professional analysts all calling out trades that have literally 80, 90% win rates with returns of, and I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but from 30% to 300% in a day, right? I had a trade last Friday on Apple that went up 1,000%. Think about that. You put in, that's the power of options, right? You go into the trade with $1,000. It does not take a lot of money to trade options. That's the other thing most people don't understand, right? They're like, oh, well, what do I got to have? 50, 100 grand, 200 grand, 300 grand. I mean, I shared with you, my average trade is 3 to 10 grand. Most of my
Mhm.
students, right? I tell them, you're going to start trading with $100, right? You trade with $100 and show me you can make money 30 to 60 to 80% a day on $100, then you can go to $300. Then once you can do that for a month, then you can go to 500. So kind of like the example with the poker, right? 200 bucks, yeah, throw my chips in, right? 2 grand? Hold on a minute here, right? So much is psychological. So the community is not only live trading, live alerts, signals. There's a whole component now that we've added with all AI that has all AI alerts, signals, ideas. We're able to monitor dark pools, sweep options. I mean, things that are big hedge funds, plays that they're putting on. We have
Mm.
automation that pulls all of that into the community. So you can see when someone is buying, $10 million worth of Tesla calls to expire next Friday. I mean, well, if someone's buying $10 million of Tesla calls to expire next Friday, you know that Tesla's got something coming up, right? So there's a lot of technology that we're now trying to infuse into the community that traders, if they don't want to trade live with me, or they don't want to follow one of the other analysts' live trades and just copy trade, right? Which I don't want people to do either. I want you to see the trade we're taking, why we're taking it, what we're paying. You can obviously take it and profit with us or lose money with me too, right? 20% of the time. But I want you to learn the skill for yourself, which is why we show you everything, right? Entry, exit, charts, graphs, recaps, the whole 9 yards. It's to teach you how to fish for yourself. It's not about me fishing for you, right?
Mhm.
So the community is just growing, it's evolving, it's changing, it's highly interactive. And the thing I love most about it, again, is that it's all people who look like me and look like you that are in the community. Highly successful career professionals, right? I don't have a lot of 18-year-olds working at McDonald's that are in there trying to make a fast buck. That's not my audience, right? That's not my clientele. That's not who I teach. Now, am I willing to do it? Sure. I do have a lot of husband and wives that trade together. So again, the community is not only the live trading with me, but it's me teaching every single morning. Here's what I'm looking at. Here's what I'm watching. Here's where I got the information from. Here's how I'm going to take the trade. Here's where I'm taking it. Here's why I took it. Here's where I'm going to take some profits. Here's why I took my profits. And then here's the results, right? Fully transparent so everybody can see. But the community right now, I think I'm up to nine, I don't know, as of this morning, I think it was 971, 972 people. So it's pretty cool, right?
And they all pay the 150. Is that the structure?
So the 150 at some point in time they will pay, right? Because if they
Okay.
took the master class, then
That's what
they
they get.
got
12
it for
months.
90 days. So then they'll
Yeah.
fall off the 90 days. And then yeah, they if they want to stay, they stay for 150, right? Or if I did one-on-one coaching with them, then I give them the community for a year. But then you're, month number 13, then yeah, it's 150 a month. So that's a whole separate revenue stream,
Hmm.
which is separate from the master class itself. And then are going one step further. I'm working with one of the students again that I promoted to an analyst because he's doing one-on-one coaching for me with some of the existing students to say, you went through the master class, where are there still some gaps that you're having? And we're going to build a mini class. And then we're going to take the mini class out to the market with already a bunch of existing traders. Because remember, the failure rate of traders is 95%. I have virtually no following in social media with the trading communities. Most of the big league guys have 50,000, 80,000, 100,000, 200,000 followers. So just do the math, right? If 95% of them don't succeed because they were never taught correctly and they don't have somebody to teach them every morning like me, because when you're in, let's say, Joe Schmo's community and he's just throwing out alerts, right? You're just copying them. And if he makes money, you make money. And if he loses money, you lose money. There's a little bit more nuances that the business is quite shady um,
Hmm.
in that these big influencers that have huge followings use something that's called a prop firm. So you trade with another company's money in a simulator, but in order to do that, you have to pay a fee. So what they will do is they will have their entire community go out and pay a fee to get a prop firm account to trade in. They will signal to everybody that this is like the best trade setup I have seen in months. Everybody takes the trade together when he knows it's a losing trade, and then all the prop firm accounts get blown. The only way to get it back is to go pay another audition fee of $500 to get back in the game. Now, the influencer is getting a percentage of all the revenue of the blown accounts. And because they have 80, 90, 100,000 followers, it's not uncommon for them to get 5,000 people to go sign up for a new account. And then they'll just repeatedly blow it like every 90 days on a perfect trade setup. When I trade, I'm trading cash. I don't have a
Mhm.
prop firm. I don't have a line of credit. I trade cash every day. So, like when you're seeing my wins and my losses, you're seeing my capital, right? So, there's some gamification to the industry, which is also why, the trust level is pretty darn low. So, and then what do I bring to the table again? 35-year career bank executive with a stellar reputation that I'm not going to ruin to collect, money from some 18-year-old kid flipping burgers at McDonald's.
Yeah, no, there's authenticity in that. But the genuine side is that, like you said, you're trading your real dollars. And, you've got to be on dropping bombs, because that would have been one of those times that Bradley would have done one of his sound effects of, because you just imploded that idea. But it's interesting. Part of the GoCeo brand is that be able to, at the end with our interviewees, we talk about C is client experience, which you've done a ton of chatting about that today.
Yeah.
E is for engagement, and O is for operational excellence. So let's go through that part of it. Is client experience, right? From a 60 to 90-second value prop. What is it that, if you say it in that time frame, that a client literally sees you on Bill Fanter on LinkedIn, goes to billfanter.com? What's that journey for that client at that moment?
I told them right away, go to the testimonial page. The testimonial page is hundreds of students who have taken the master class, and it has a link to their LinkedIn profile. I don't know who you're going to reach out to, John. There's
Mhm.
150 people on that page. You pick who you want. You want to talk to the pharmaceutical salesman? Do you want to talk to the, corporate banking cashier? Do you want to talk to the manufacturer? Whatever is in your line of sight. All of these students commented on a post of mine, and all I did was take their comments, put them out on my site with a link to their profile. And anybody who's leery of me, I'll go reach out to however many people you want. I don't know who you're going to pick, right? Do your own homework, do your own investigation. Just like I told you earlier in the interview, go find who is the expert in the market and then hire them. What I'm encouraging you to do is go talk to my students and see if they say that I'm the expert. Yes or no, right? Either they made money with me or they lost money with me. And if they lost money with me, they're probably not going to give me a good review. We just have to think, right?
Yeah.
That's my recommendation. I think my client experience is outstanding because I personalize it. I take a genuine interest in every single student. And I know that sounds crazy, but I get into discussions all the time with my husband that he's like, Bill, put the damn phone down. The email can wait, right? The Discord community can wait. I'm like, no, these people are depending upon me for answers, right? And that's how I built my entire banking career. I am the roadblock or obstacle remover for people. And as long as you do that, it lets them forge ahead in accomplishing their goals. So, right, I think the experience is outstanding. Could it get better? Yeah, but I'd end up killing myself trying to do that, right? And then I live trade every morning with everybody. I open the mic for Q&A. So like you can ask me Q&A in front of 200 people. I don't know what you're going to ask me. And then listen to my response, right? Am I defensive? Am I offensive? Am I encouraging? Am I nurturing? Or am I just a total jerk, right? And so I do it live in front of hundreds of people every day.
I love it. I love it. Well, that leads into E for engagement, right? So sounds like the Discord community, the things that you've been able to put together so that there is engagement. Not only the business side of it, right, with the trading, but tell us a little bit about what you're doing. Are you doing any retreats? with your subscribers and people in the community? Are you doing things where you bring out vendors? What are some of the things that you engage with the community with in different ways?
Yeah. So I'm getting better at that. You have to remember, I've only been doing this now for not even 18 months,
That's an
right?
excuse, Bill.
It's growing so fast, right? So a couple of things that we've been doing. First and foremost, I haven't done any retreats yet, although I'm going to. Everybody's like, Bill, we all want to come to Vegas and see you. I'm like, all right, we will plan that for next year. I just moved into a new house, had to get all new furnishings, all new everything. Because when I moved out of California, I literally only took my clothes. The buyers of the house wrote me a check and they said, we want everything in it. It was really weird. But anyway, so what we've been doing within the community is we've been having monthly webinars and going more deep dives into different technical analysis of the market, the analytics, the software, right? Things that I can't teach in the master class because it's like me teaching you trigonometry when you haven't even taken basic math, right?
Mhm.
So the master class, let's get through the basic math, the algebra, and then trigonometry, we're going to do in the Discord. So we'll do monthly webinars on that. And again, it's totally free. Everybody who's in it, I teach it. One of the analysts teach it. So we've done three of them already. We did one on technical analysis. We've done another one on liquidity. And then we did another one on price action, which is how the market moves during different economic scenarios. So I've been trying to say you're part of the community, and I want you to stay in the community because it's continued education. So the
Mhm.
one thing about the markets is they are not duplicatable and no two markets are the same, right? The financial housing crisis was a credit crisis. The failure of Silicon Valley Bank was a liquidity crisis. It's the opposite side of the balance sheet, right? They're two different things. Right now, what we're going through with tariffs will be, I don't think it's not going to be a crisis, but it'll be a inflationary um, issue for either the consumer or it'll be a margin compression issue for corporate America, right? And then
Mhm.
tariffs have to get paid and they're not paid by the other country. I'm going to leave it at that. So I'm constantly just trying to keep people up to date as to when you have an administration, regardless of what it is, Republican or Democratic, they have different levers that they like to pull, right? Some like to go after tax increases, some like tax reduction, some like solar, some like manufacturing, some like oil. Well, that will have a ripple in the market at different levels. And those create trading opportunities for us, right? So when they took away all of the solar and the EV credits that are going to expire this September, guess what the solar stocks did? Overnight. Literally, they dumped. And if you just took a put trade, John, when the big beautiful bill got approved, you made a fortune in literally 2 days, right?
Wow.
Because everybody sells. So the interesting thing about the market is you will make more money on fear than you will on greed. Because when greed is involved, people will stop and think twice. Should I do this? When fear is involved, nobody thinks. They all run for the exit. They sell. I don't care. I'm out of here. So as an options trader, I make money whether the market goes up or down. I could care less, right? A door comes off of Alaska Airlines mid-flight. I wish someone would have texted me to short Boeing because the next morning the stock dropped by 30 bucks, right? And so it's like
Yeah.
these news events that cause panic. And when there's panic, people don't think clearly. But when they don't think clearly, I just make more money.
I love it. I love it. Look, I read a book called Blue Ocean Strategy and
Mhm.
made me think of you. You've created this blue ocean of a different way within a community that's kind of been doing things a certain way.
Yeah.
You exposed a little bit of with the dropping bomb that you did earlier, but the ways that you're doing and the blue ocean of it is pretty cool. And nothing but success to you coming up and what you've been able to do already. I know it was only 18 months, but it's pretty cool to see kind
It's been
of from
fun.
there from that perspective. So last one is operational excellence. So just from high level, if you could share some of the tools that you're using. Are you an E-Trade guy? Are you using a Schwab account? Like what are the tools
Yeah.
and the back end and some of the things that you've talked about, Discord, which is a platform. What are some of those tools that you're using for your operational excellence of Bill Fanter?
Yeah, so what I do is I use a program called TradingView for all of my charting. So I'm all about efficiency, right? So there's a couple platforms we use when we trade. TradingView for all of our charting. We use Thinkorswim for all of our order execution. We use the Discord community for all of our communications. And then the platform for the master class is run on Kajabi, where everything is automated. So literally, you pick the master class you want, you sign up, you pay, you're automatically granted access into the learning portal where there's immediately a welcome video for me. There's the agenda, there's everything that you could expect, and then everything is automated from that point forward. So the emails, the day I host class, there's a email reminder with a Zoom link because I'm all about convenience, right? Make it easy for people. If we have class tonight, I don't want you to have to go find your computer, log into the portal, find the Zoom link to get on the call. I sent you an email 6 hours earlier that's just literally wherever you're at. Are you on a train, in a car, on a plane, right? Or you're at your home, just click here and you're automatically linked in. And then what I do is after I teach every session, all the collateral, all the material, all the videos are uploaded into your own customized portal for easy access. So a lot of my students, right, because I'm teaching a fairly complex subject on derivatives to people who have never heard or seen about them before, but I teach it at a level which is so easy to understand. But I do encourage them, go back and watch the video again, right? When things get a little bit hairy or you're like, I didn't quite grasp it,
Mhm.
you have access to the recorded material. And then when we meet again in class, I always start every session with, okay, guys, what questions do you have from the last class that I need to clarify foundationally before we can move forward into the next section, right? So I try to automate as much as I possibly can, but then there's always human interaction with me on everything, right? All of my posts, right, that I write, I post. All of my comments are me commenting. All of the comments in the Discord are me commenting, right? It's me taking the time and the investment to really get people the answer that they deserve that is correct and accurate. Because the last thing I want people to be doing is guessing what to do when they have hard-earned money on the line. And so I try to remove all that variability.
I love it. I love it. Well, look, Bill, it's been such a pleasure. Throughout the years, every so often we connect, and like I said earlier, you've always been that type of guy that like instantaneously or in a very short period answers a text, answers a call, and always available, which is part of that magnetism that you've been able to do something so quickly in the last 18 months. Once you decided to go on your own fully and say bye bye to the banking industry. So really,
Yeah.
really cool stuff. How do people get a hold of you the best way? Obviously, the website, and then
Yep.
share those three platforms. I know you have a DIY program too. So,
Mhm.
the three platforms that you have available at the moment, and how do they interact with you?
Yeah, so the masterclass is the same content material wise through all three options. So one, I have a learn on your own where Bill, I can't make the live session when you teach it live. So it is all of the content, all of the material, everything that you would listen to me teach you already pre-packaged. Okay. And then the next section is a foundation, which is me teaching it live, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 2 consecutive weeks starting on September 15th. And then the third option is me teaching it live on those same dates, but then after class, we do one-on-one coaching. So that's where I work with students on a one-on-one basis for 3 to 4 consecutive months. Literally, I review their trades. We use another platform to import all their trades where it shows your entry, your exit, your price levels, right? We are going to take a technical look at your trading skill set, and then I'm going to teach you how to get better. So, again, the content is the same no matter what you choose. It just really has to do with how much of my involvement would you like to have. But yeah, billfanter.com. It's really simple. Or, follow me on LinkedIn if you already don't. Sometimes I have some fun stuff to say.
No, it's always bright and humorous too. So, the Discord one, how do people get onto Discord, and is that an app, or how do they get into the community if they would just want to start paying
Sure.
the 150 a month?
Yeah, so if they go to my website, billfanter.com, there's a couple things they can do that's kind of cool that I guess I did evolve. One, there's a weekly watch list that they can get for free. Every week on Sunday, I curate a watch list of all the stocks I'm possibly going to trade with my charts, with my price levels, with my narrative. You can get that. If you want to learn more about what options are because you just don't understand what options or the potential, there's a webinar on my website that's about 30 minutes where I walk you through all of the curriculum and show you why do I buy options and why I don't buy stocks because of leverage. Okay, so that's the other thing. The third thing they can do is they can join the Discord community. So there's a whole page dedicated to, well, what is the Discord? What is the cost? How do I join it? What are some of the results, student comments, things along those lines. And then the fourth pillar is signing up for the masterclass itself. So whether you want a free weekly watch list, a free webinar, you want to join the Discord, or you want to join the masterclass, everything of it is housed on the website.
I love it. I love it. Well, awesome, Bill. It's been such a pleasure, like I said, and I've appreciated the connection, the friendship. You've got many, many, many thousands and thousands of people following you, and you made a big difference in a lot of people's lives. And looking forward to the success. Hopefully, we can have you on in the next 18 to 24 months and see the evolution of what's going on, and the Kajabi, and the maybe the Lightspeed VT that you'll do in the future or something like
Sure.
that. But we got to get you on Brad Lee's show too, because I think mine's a smaller channel right now, but I'd love to have you on bigger podcasts and stuff like that, because I think it's such an important tool, especially right now with all these changes going on. And as much as you feel like Bill has said, and I just made a move in the banking industry myself. Yeah, it feels great to get paid even more zeros and all that type of stuff, but you still have to own your own thing. And a lot of people have realized, and hopefully will keep on realizing, that even while you have a 9 to 5, if you could have some entrepreneurial spirit, a formula of how to do something, a mentor like Bill, you could start to, up your game and go to the next level. So thanks so much, Bill.
No, I appreciate the invite. Thank you, my friend. It's always good to see you.